BDs and GDs in Chicago, but one of the most savage sets in the city has beef with both of them. 051 Young Money went to war with everyone and allegedly dropped over 40 bodies in the streets. And today we're breaking down how
Anyone from 051 Young Money confirm that? Anybody?
they became the most hated and feared gang in Chicago. The Black Disciples and Gangster Disciples have a lot of different sets in Chicago. Sets like 600, THF 46, and O Block all rep BD, but they got their own thing going on too. 051 Young Money is different. They're a renegade set with a lot of dudes who rep Mickey Cobras, but there's some BDs and GDs in there too. Being a renegade set means they're not clicked up with as many crews because they can pretty much beef with anyone. But back in the day, the 051 dudes wasn't even really active in the streets. They started out as a bunch of homies who just hung out and played basketball. But in 2008, that all changed. One of the original members was shot and killed, and it sparked a wave of violence that allegedly led to over 40 murders in the city. In 2008, 051 was cool with another set called Drexside, and that's what made the situation coming up even more shocking. A dude named Los was one of the first members of 051, and on March 13, 2008, he was outside his house with his homies celebrating his birthday. A dude from Drexside named Franco rolled up in a van to drop a couple people off at the party, and it ain't seem like there was any issues. But when Los went up to the van to talk to Franco, the situation went left. It's not clear exactly why it happened, but Franco upped his strap and shot Los twice. Los fell to the ground, and that's when Franco popped him 3 more times and sped off from the scene. Los getting killed is what made the
This is all for documentary purposes only. That's it. Just not to condone any violence or anything like that. RIP to everybody that's mentioned in this video.
rest of 051 started getting more violent, but the cops caught Franco before 051 could, and Franco ended up getting hit with a 55-year sentence for killing Los. Los dying had a major impact on the crew, but a few months later, they suffered the loss that turned them into one of the most savage gangs in Chicago. 051 Zico was another one of the OGs in the crew. He was heavy into basketball and played in college, but he allegedly kept one foot in the trenches and was killed one day while visiting home from school. Zico was walking down the block with a homie when he got into an argument with a dude named Makee, who repped a BD set called THF 46. THF and 051 wasn't really beefing back then, and it looked like it was more of a personal situation that went left. But Zico was shot and killed, and it changed everything for 051. Makee did the race and went to Indianapolis to get away from the cops, but around a year later, they found him after someone tipped off his location. Makee caught a 27-year sentence for killing Zico. 051 had lost 2 top members in just a few months and weren't really known as shooters back then, so nobody expected the brutal wave of violence that was about to come. The first body 051 allegedly caught was a dude from THF 46 named Quint. On April 8, 2011, Quint was standing on the block with some homies when someone hopped out of a whip and started shooting. 2 guys caught a few shots and survived, but Quint was hit in the head and died. Nobody ever got booked for his death, but dudes from 051 claimed the hit on social media. But that wasn't the only THF affiliate they allegedly killed that year. A few months later, in July 2011, another THF affiliate named Tony was walking down the street when someone ambushed him and started letting off shots. Tony hit the ground, and that's when the shooter stood over his body and finished him off. 051 wanted to let everyone know who was behind the hit, and they claimed Tony's death all over social media too. Later, news broke that the cops thought an 051 member named Marc was the one who took Tony out, but Marc's crazy story was just getting started. Marc's homie T Streets was the one who allegedly drove Marc when he killed Tony, and just a few months later, the ops clapped back and killed T Streets while he was sitting in his whip. THF 46 was 051's biggest ops, but they had issues with other sets at the same time, like 600. There's rumors that some 600 dudes was on the hit when T Streets died, and 4 months later, 051 got their revenge. In February 2012, a 600 affiliate named Shaq got caught in an alleyway and was shot to death. 051 Melly's probably the most famous dude from the set, and he allegedly killed Shaq with his homie 051 Kiddo. After it went down, Melly clowned Shaq for laying next to a garbage can and smelling like one. Then in a wild video where he was talking to his niece, Melly said,
"I'm one of them type of guys that be in the dark waiting for you when you gotta go pee at night. And I just get you, and you don't never come back to your parents again."
051 was putting heavy
What type of traumatizing thing is that to say to a little girl, man? Come on now.
pressure on the ops, but they was taking losses at the same time too. In June 2012, a dude from 051 named Fats was walking to the corner store with his cousin when a van pulled up next to him. His cousin later said that the driver and passenger was staring him down, but then they drove off. Fats and his cousin kept walking, then a couple minutes later, a dude in a hoodie came up from behind them and started letting off shots. His cousin ran for her life, and when she turned and looked back, she saw it was the driver of the van standing over Fats and letting off shots. The police booked a dude from 600 named C-Day for the murder, but they ain't have enough evidence to convict him. After he was released, C-Day pretty much confirmed he was the shooter on social media and dissed Fats and Zico in the same post. 051 wasn't gonna let up though, and right after Fats died, 051 allegedly caught another op from THF named Black. Bodies was dropping like crazy on both sides, and 051 allegedly took out another 600 affiliate next. According to reports, 051 Kiddo caught 600 tricks while he was sitting in his car. 051 was already making a name for themselves as one of the wildest sets in the city, but what happened next took everything to another level. At the same time 051 was putting pressure on their ops in the street, a rapper named LA Capone was blowing up in the drill scene. Capone came up in Chicago, but ended up moving to Atlanta in middle school to live with his dad because his mom wanted him away from the streets. Capone met Lil Yachty and a bunch of other future stars while he was out there and probably would have ended up making it in the rap game. But after his dad died, he moved back to Chicago and jumped straight into the trenches. Capone linked up with 600 and was putting in work in the streets at the same time he started taking rap seriously. It ain't take long for the street drama to catch up with him though, and in 2012, he got shot for the first time. He made it through and started popping off with tracks like Murder and So Loud. And at the time, fans thought he could hit the same level as Chief Keef and Lil Durk. He was getting noticed by major artists like T.
What would y'all think that LA Capone would be at, like, as far as like status of and all that? If he stayed alive, man. But RIP to LA Capone.
Yeah, and Waka Flocka Flame, and Capone almost made it out of the streets. But before he even released his debut project, someone caught him outside the studio and shot him twice. Capone was rushed to the hospital but died later that night, and Big A, Miko, Rockhead, and Lil Mick from 051 were named as the shooters. Miko, Rockhead, and Lil Mick all caught decades behind bars for the hit, but the ops caught up to Big A before the police could. 051 ain't have a lot of rappers like the GDs and BDs they was beefing with, but 051 Lil Marc hopped in the booth and started putting pressure on them in the studio with tracks like Lackin', where he rapped.
Is it Lil Marc and Lil JoJo, brother, or am I getting the wrong person? I apologize if I am. I genuinely don't know.
BDK Shorty, that's the movement. 300 ain't with the shits, 600 ain't with the shits. E-Day boy, you don't get tricks. Still Young Money, never switch. Then in March 2014, he dropped a remix to Lil Durk's track Competition called No Competition and called out a ton of BDs with bars like Baldy Pack, Mosky Pack, Tasty Pack, Lil Rob Pack. Wake up, ate a bowl of tricks. While I was blowing on D-Thing, riding down to Steve Drive. Think I'm finna OD. Took a trip to LA, while Keita man, she throat me. And my niggas doing drills, you could ask 4-6. Niggas talking about Lil Fathead, that right there leave cats dead. Marc had potential to blow up in the drill wave, but just 3 days after he dropped the track, he was caught at a bus stop and killed. Right after it went down, D Rose posted a video from the scene, and street rumors say it was him, King Von, and Twilla from THF 46 who took him out, and Von allegedly even self-snitched about it on Twitter. Lil Marc was murdered just 3 years after his brother Tuka got killed at another bus stop and sparked a war between the GDs and BDs. Tuka was allegedly murdered by OD Perry and some other BDs, and that's when the GDs clapped back and killed OD. OD's death was a huge loss for the BDs in Wick City, and that's when they changed their name to O Block and sparked a whole new wave of murders in Chicago. Tay 600 dissed Marc and Tuka on the track With the Shits and rapped, "Say fuck LA, you get killed in the same day." Lil Marc and Shondell, they got killed in the same way. All black, that's my gear when I play in that gangway. Lil Marc's death was a big loss for 051, and that's when 051 Melly went on a killing spree that earned him the nickname the Gravedigger of Chirac. A few months after Marc died.
Once again, this is all for educational purposes only. I do not condone none of this and all that type of stuff. I do not participate in this type of stuff. It's just all for educational.
Lil Durk and his cousin Newski were riding around the city and stopped at a store. While Durk went inside, Newski stayed in the whip. He was sitting there waiting for Durk to come out when a shooter walked up and started letting off shots. Newski got hit and tried to drive off, but he crashed the whip and ended up dying on the scene. Durk had just signed Newski to his OTF label a few days earlier, but Melly allegedly took him out before he could make it out of the streets. The bus stop where Lil Marc died was used to diss him and the rest of 051. And THF TP even dropped a track called Bus Stop and filmed a video at the same spot Marc died while he rapped. "Cause you know my niggas hot, we known for sending shots. Smoking Marc with my bros, got my eyes bloodshot. I'm on my block, came from the bottom, I'ma make it to the top. Don't get your ass found like your homie by that bus stop." Durk's manager OTF Chino was in the video too. and Dirk had just sent a shot at 051 on the remix of Finito and rapped, "Bitch, I'm riding through the ops, finna go and shoot Young Money up." Melly already wanted revenge, but the disrespects made him go even harder on his ops. He allegedly caught OTF Chino while he was sitting in a parked car, then dissed him on IG Live after it went down and said he was eating a Chino burger.
Just let me a piece. Yeah, Chino burger. That's what they said.
Melly was putting crazy pressure on the BDs, so a dude named THF Raheem allegedly slid on him and his homies and started letting off shots. Melly, 051 Ario, and another homie all got hit, but Raheem didn't kill any of them, and that's how he ended up dead right after it went down. Ario allegedly clapped back not long after he got shot and killed Raheem. Raheem was the stepson of THF Bezu, who was one of the set's top shooters. Bezu and Melly was definitely ops, especially after Raheem got killed. But they had a lot of respect for each other and even went live on IG together and talked about the war between their crews. Bezu was on the hunt for the ops after Raheem died, and that's when he caught Melly and his homie Mubu Crump standing outside a party and started letting off shots. Crump died from his injuries, but Melly survived again and hopped right back in the trenches. While 051 was beefing with a lot of BDs, Melly was getting tight with some dudes from Jarrell City, and according to rumors, after a Jarrell affiliate named Motor got killed, Melly stopped moving smart and ended up getting himself killed. Rumors say that Melly got into an argument over a dice game with a dude from Taekwondo World named 007 Nate. It's not clear what really went down, but Melly allegedly came back and shot up Nate's house while his baby mother and kid was both inside. Luckily, neither of them got hit, but that's when Nate decided to take 051 Melly out. Right after he allegedly shot up Nate's crib, Melly was at a party hosted by FBG in Jarrell City. When Melly showed up, they allegedly warned him that his ops from Taekwondo World would be there, but Melly stayed anyway. He was one of the most savage dudes in the city and probably didn't think anyone would catch him lacking. But then Nate showed up and murdered him right in the party. A year after he died, 051 allegedly got revenge for Melly and killed a dude from Taekwondo World named Richie Jerk, but the rumors ain't been confirmed. Melly's death was another huge loss for 051, but they was getting pressure from all sides. After spending a few years going to war all over the city, 051 was one of the most hated gangs in Chicago, and the ops was trying to take him off the map. Back in June 2014, 051 Polo was walking down the block with his brother when a van full of dudes pulled up next to him. Polo started talking to the dudes, and that's when one of them upped the strap and killed him right there. Nobody was ever booked for his murder, but rumors say it was a dude from 600 named Lil Boo who pulled the trigger. And just a few months after Polo died, another 051 member was allegedly killed on accident by one of his own homies. 051 Boom was chilling with his homie Harris and another dude. Harris brought out a new 40 cal Glock to show Boom. Boom took it for a second, then handed it back. And that's when Harris pointed it at his head and accidentally fired a shot point blank into Boom and killed him. 051 was taking a lot of losses, but they were still active in the streets. And in 2015, they allegedly took out one of 600's top shooters, Lil Boo. Boo was walking down the street when a car pulled up next to him. Before he could do anything, a shooter was already hopping out and letting off shots, and Boo hit the ground. He was found dead laying next to a car tire, and someone took a picture of it. And after the photo started going around, his ops started dissing him by calling him Tirehead. That same year, the ops clapped back and killed 051 Wank. And when 051 tried to slide back for revenge, they allegedly ended up accidentally killing an innocent kid instead. The beef between 600 and 051 was starting to die down, but the tension with THF 06 was crazier than ever. In 2016, THF allegedly murdered 051 T Berg while he was standing on the block, but it ain't take long for 051 to get revenge, and they allegedly shot a THF affiliate named Trayvon and left him dead in the alley just a few months later. Then less than a month later, THF allegedly caught another 051 member named Sharp Mac Lackin and killed him. By that point, dozens of people had already died in the war, but the violence wasn't over yet. 3 months after Sharp Mac was murdered, 051 left another dude from THF dead in the streets. Bobo was facing murder charges and serving time in Cook County Jail, but then the case got dismissed because it took too long for trial. He was still facing robbery charges and had a $100,000 bond, but one of his homies showed up to bail him out. Bailing your friends out of jail is a solid move, but it ended up getting Bobo killed just a few hours later. He was in a whip a few blocks away from the jail when someone pulled up and started letting off shots, and Bobo died on the scene. No one ever caught a case over his murder, but the cops think 051 was behind the hit. 051 started out as a bunch of friends who pretty much just chilled and played basketball, but when they hopped in the trenches, they started some of the deadliest and most brutal beef that Chicago has ever seen. Their wars with THF and 600 have slowed down a bit, but they still active in the streets today. Unfortunately, too many people have died on all sides for them to ever squash it. Rest in peace